Ever whispered, maybe I could create an online course someday? And then you thought, nope, too overwhelming, too risky, and way too much tech. That's you, I get it. When I started, I had no clue where to begin, no extra hours, and no idea if anyone would buy. Then I met Amy Porterfield. She gave me a clear, doable path, and that someday dream became a profitable, sustainable part of my business. Now I've built multiple online courses that earn while I live my life. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about Course Confident, a live bootcamp with Amy herself. 4 live trainings with one clear outcome. Nail your profitable course topic, choose your type and price with confidence, and learn how to attract your future students without being glued to your screen. You'll be in a private driven community that gets it. The doubts, the wins, the why is this so hard moments. The accountability, ideas, and encouragement you need to move from thinking about it to doing it. Join through jennakutcher.com/bootcamp. And when you join, you'll also get my beginner-friendly mini course, the Pinterest Kickstart, which is your quick start guide to growing your audience and email list before you even launch. $27 of value, yours free. If you want more freedom, more alignment, and income you don't have to chase daily, this is your next right step. We start September 11th. Save your spot today at jennakutcher.com/bootcamp. Nothing makes me happier than doing work that energizes me. And I've always been committed to that, not just for myself, but for my entire team. That's why I'm so excited about the Working Genius model. It's a powerful tool that helps you discover your natural strengths and where you thrive in your work. When you tap into what you're naturally good at, work becomes more rewarding and you get so much more done. Honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect when I took the Working Genius assessment, but it blew me away with how accurate and insightful it was. It affirmed that I am naturally gifted at using my intuition and instincts to evaluate and assess ideas or plans. And it also confirmed my love for self-starters and the fact that I can get frustrated if I have to be the main source of motivation for other people to get results. The assessment only takes 10 minutes and it's great for solopreneurs and teams alike. Imagine with me how effortless your teamwork will be if you understand the working geniuses of those that you're working with. Working Genius is different from everything else out there because it's 20% personality and 80% productivity. Simply put, if you want to transform your work life, this is it. Get 20% off the $25 Working Genius assessment. Head to workinggenius.com and enter the promo code GOALDIGGER at checkout. That's workinggenius.com, promo code GOALDIGGER. What if you could count on consistent income every single month without hustling harder, chasing the algorithm, or launching yourself into burnout? In this episode, I'm pulling back the curtain on 7 different ways to finally make that a reality. I'm Jenna Kutcher, and I help you trade hustle for purpose and build a business that gives you the life you actually want to live. From a $300 Craigslist camera to a 7-figure business I run from home, I've learned that success isn't just about what you do, it's about how you live. Here, you'll get strategies that work, systems that give you your time back, and steps that turn your effort into results and impact. If you're ready for clarity, confidence, and a business that feels as good as it looks, you're in the right place. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. Hey, can I guess something about you? I am guessing that you didn't start a business to be glued to your phone or stuck in a loop of launches and hustle with no breathing room, right? Like you didn't dream about spinning your wheels or wondering if you'd be able to pay yourself again this month. You probably started something because you had a calling in your heart, something to offer, a message, a gift, a transformation. But if you're like me, somewhere along the way, it started to feel more like a full-time content creation job and a lot less like the life first business you might have been envisioning. If you are someone who has ever whispered, I just want this to start working and stay working, well, this episode is for you. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 paths to creating reliable, consistent monthly income in your business. The kind of income that doesn't depend on posting daily, going viral consistently, or doing another exhausting launch. And I'm also going to tell you what's worked best for me and for so many other entrepreneurs starting from scratch. The systems that turn scattered schedules and inconsistent paychecks into predictable income that you can start to count on. Because yes, it is possible. You can have peace, profit, and purpose without more pressure. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, I have to be honest before I start recording this one. I have been working on this outline for way too long. And every iteration of the outline, it just didn't feel right. And I finally just told my producer, I really want to record this episode, but I feel like I have to just speak from the heart, speak to you specifically. I don't really want to follow a strict outline. I don't want to drop in a bunch of stats and data points if it doesn't really feel relevant. I want to really just peel back the layers of production and use my microphone to talk to you. That's what I'm good at, and that's what I want to do today. And the reason why this episode feels incredibly important and maybe a little bit special to me is that I recently did a survey and I asked you, what's on your heart? Like, what is your deepest desire? And one of the responses that came back with a really loud, resounding yes was that the deep desire is not the $1 million launches or, the $100,000 weeks. The deep desire is just consistent and reliable income. And when I really start to think about what does that look like and what does that mean, it shows me that we want to feel safe and secure. When I really peel back the layers and what I believe is at the core of the desire of reliable income, it's safety and security, to keep at the dream, to see that it's working, to build something that can run while you rest, to build something that is sustainable. And it's really interesting to me because I feel like there is a really big shift happening. And I'm personally walking through it as well. Where as women, we are really asking ourselves some bigger questions of like, what does success look like for me? What does it feel like? How does it show up in my life, in my family, in my work, in my community? And when I think about this desire for reliable monthly income, for me, it really shows that we want to unlock safety and security so that we can stay creative and in a mode of creation. And so that's what it's looked like for me. And I want to kind of paint the picture of some of the different ways that I think you can create reliable monthly income based on my own experiences. And one thing that I really want to do in this episode is I want to share my own experiences, but I want to do it not as like the hero of this story, but more so as a guide for you in your journey, just to show you what's possible. This episode to me is less about an outline and a script and more about painting possibility for you to help you reach the deeper desires on your heart, whether it is the $100,000 months or it's having grocery money to rely on in this next month for you, or being able to pay your mortgage with your idea or your side hustle or your creation, or being able to pour back into your community or afford your child's school or whatever that looks like for you. And so I want to come at this from a different angle. And the only way I knew how to actually get this episode recorded was to simply hit record. Now, I want to just first start off with a story because I love telling stories and I think it's helpful to kind of know why this matters to me. And when I first became an entrepreneur, man, there were so many things I didn't know, so many things I could have never prepared for. But when I left corporate America, I walked away from a salary. And with my salary came consistent paychecks, right? I knew every 2 weeks my bank account would be replenished and filled. I knew that a 401k was covered and all of those different considerations that nobody tells you about were taken care of. And walking away from that into a journey of entrepreneurship that had a lot of seasonality as a Midwest wedding photographer, I was not prepared for the wild ride that entrepreneurship took me on. When I think back to those early days, I think back to this predicament that I found myself in as I left my corporate gig right as wedding season was getting started. And for me, when I was in Wisconsin, our wedding season was typically April to October. Of course, people get married every single month of the year, but my busy season was really April to October, which was about half of the year. And then I entered into this really quiet era. And I was savvy enough to understand that I'm going to make the majority of my money in this 6 months time span, but I have to make it last an entire year, right? I had the financial savviness to understand that. But what was so interesting to me is that if I didn't know with confidence that I could book that busy season again, I would have lived in a state of scarcity. And for me, what I've realized, especially as a woman for myself, when I am operating out of a space of scarcity, it is incredibly hard to be creative, to be willing to experiment, to try new things, to put something new out there. When you're coming from a place of scarcity, it's incredibly hard to unlock your creativity. And so when I recognized, okay, there's a lot of seasonality with entrepreneurship. There's a lot of ebbs and flows, and I need to be smart and savvy with my finances so that I can feel safe and secure throughout the entire year, come hell or high water. It really changed the way that I approached entrepreneurship. And I've told this story many times before, but about 3 years in to my career as a wedding photographer, I had reached this elusive goal of hitting 6 figures, and I was incredibly proud of it, right? My parents had never earned 6 figures in their lives. It felt like this number that wasn't even real coming from a small town. And when I reached it, instead of feeling fulfilled or successful, I felt empty. I was so burnt out at that point, right? Like I had hit it and my life didn't suddenly change. I didn't feel really different. And I remember shortly after hitting that goal, I sat down at my table and I mapped out a different type of life, a life that was cutting back. And I remember sitting Drew down and I said, I was a lot happier. I had more time. I had a better life when I earned $50,000 a year. I'm willing to go back to that. This whole 6-figure thing isn't what it's cracked out to be. Like, are you willing, if I take this leap of faith and go back to $50K a year so that I can have my time back? For those first 3 years, money was my currency. But once I hit that place of 6 figures and emptiness, time became my currency. And I made that scary decision. I cut my workload in half. I cut my income in half just to get my time back. But what was fascinating during that season and what was entirely unplanned is that the minute I got off the hamster wheel of burnout, the minute that I stopped overbooking myself and overcommitting myself, when I truly did treat time as my currency, I suddenly had time to explore different opportunities, to ask myself bigger questions, to really explore what would it look like, and is it even possible to have a business where I could earn money without spending more time, right? Because as a wedding photographer, I was in this business of trading time for money. And the only way to make more money was to work more hours. And at that point, I had no more hours to give, right? I had reached the threshold where I just had nothing left in the tank. And so what was fascinating is in the year that I decided to go back to 50K just to reclaim my time, I suddenly had more time to explore other types of businesses. And I started taking online courses. I started learning from other entrepreneurs. I started listening to podcasts and reading books and attending webinars. And I invested in learning a different way. And that year, that 50K year that followed my 6-figure success was actually the year that unlocked the future of what would become a multiple 7-figure business. And it wasn't done out of strategy. It was honestly kind of coincidental and fate, maybe, that I had to see that it wasn't just about money. It was about the quality of my life and where my time was going. And having time to live a life and not be tethered to a computer or working every weekend. And so that space just gave me room to explore new income streams. And the income streams that I explored then are the income streams still alive and well in my business today. And those are the things that I'm going to walk you through today. So I'm sorry for this long introduction, but I would be remiss to guide you through this process of this episode without actually giving you the context of why this matters and also why I understand the craving that's on your heart, why I viscerally know the feeling of feeling trapped that the only way to earn money is to work more. And if you have nothing left to give or you have no more minutes of your life to offer, you can feel stuck and trapped. You can be hitting up on glass ceilings that the world creates for you or that you've unknowingly created for yourself. And so I want to help you consider the different possibilities that exist out there that are proven to work. And I want for you to curiously explore if one of these might be your next best move. And that's all I can offer. So here are the 7 different ways that I would explore if I were wanting to create reliable monthly income in my life. Okay, the first one is this. So evergreen digital products. So first off, if you're not familiar with the word evergreen literally is just talking about something that can live on. Something that you could create today that would make sense a week from now, a month from now, and even a year from now. And digital products are amazing because if you do them right, a lot of times you can create something once and sell it for months or even years. Like sometimes the easiest win, not only for yourself and your bank account, but for the person you are creating for could be a $27 template, right? That solves one small problem. Maybe you're not changing the world, but maybe you are answering the call to solve one single problem that your ideal client has. Evergreen digital products are incredible. And I know so many people who have had so much success with them because it can be a low ticket offer. So low ticket, it's usually a lighter lift for you to create. There's not a lot of money or production value required to get this thing off the ground. And these small sales can add up, right? Like I have literally watched creators earn thousands of dollars a month from selling a single PDF or a preset or a template or a mini course or a mini offer. The big thing that I want for you to think about is there something that you could create once? And as long as it's relevant, you could keep selling it for months or even years to come. What is that thing for you? I've had an online digital shop for years, and there have been stages of my entrepreneurial journey where I've put more time and energy into it than others. But what was interesting to me is when I started creating my digital shop, I was literally repackaging up things that I created out of my own needs that could help other people. So for example, when I was a photographer, I had to create a pricing guide, right? I had to go through the process of like creating a presentation and a pricing guide and knowing what to put where and how to present my pricing and where to put my portfolio images and what information to include. I had to spend so much time creating that thing. And once I created it, I was like, wait a minute, I can easily turn this thing into a template and help other photographers and save them tons of time and energy. And all they have to do is drop in their own photos and their own information and prices, and boom, they've got it. I could save them hours of time. And it can be a really light lift on my end. And so when you think about evergreen digital products, think about things that maybe you've created for yourself, or you've searched for online and you couldn't believe nobody had it, or you've bought and you've been disappointed in it because it wasn't what you thought it would be. And just start to ponder what it is that you could create. Again, it doesn't need to totally change and transform somebody's life. It can just literally solve one problem. I sold editing presets that I created in Lightroom for myself after so many photographers asked for them. I've created media kits. I've created different templates and downloads. And so the first way that I would consider creating reliable monthly income is what is some sort of low ticket template or offer that you could sell. Now, if you're wondering, okay, well, how does this lead to reliable monthly income? If you could create a freebie, as in like a free offer for somebody that would be aligned with the type of person who would need the paid offer, you would promote the freebie. So let's say I created a freebie of 5 tips for pricing yourself as a wedding photographer, and that's the freebie. And then somebody opts in and you help them create their pricing. So I literally used to have a profitable pricing guide that walked people through how to understand your expenses, your costs, etc. So anyone who opted in and signed up for that thing, I could then pitch, okay, awesome. Now that you have your prices, you probably need a guide to present them with. Here is a $27 template that I created for you, right? Can you start to see how this makes sense so that you're not constantly selling? You are serving people who are opting in and raising their hand in alignment with the type of person who would need that evergreen digital product. So that is the first thing I would consider creating. And I think it could be awesome. And the beautiful thing about evergreen products is, again, when you go into it, creating it and thinking about it long term, you can create it once and sell it many times. And if it's digital, it's not costing you anything. You could sell 10 of them, you could sell 100 of them. It is no more work on your part if you have automation. It's super easy to deliver. And it's a very low risk way to get your foot in the door and start bringing in consistent income. All right. Number 2 is probably my favorite method, and it is the method that accounts for over 50% of our business's income, and that is through online courses. This is essentially like a scalable engine when I think about it. So you know me, I love online courses. I love teaching. There is nothing that lights me up more than teaching a beginner, than getting somebody their first win, helping somebody see that their idea isn't crazy and that they can actually get traction and they can do this. That is like my favorite thing in the world. I have about 5 different online courses I've created, and I love online courses for a million different reasons. There is something that is so beautiful when you take and extract your knowledge and you create something once that you can sell again and again. You literally unlock and like break free from that whole like I'm only paid when I work cycle, and you get to amplify your impact with things that you know. Online education is a $1.5 trillion industry in the making, and I have literally watched it work for every kind of expertise. The other day, I took my girls to the zoo when Drew was mowing the lawn, and I was walking into our local zoo, and this beautiful, kind woman stopped me, and she just said, "Hi, Jenna. You might not know who I am. I listen to your podcast. I love it." And she ran an acupuncture business. And then as the elevator door is closing, she's telling me about her friend, and she goes, "Oh my gosh." And my friend, she literally created an online course about basket weaving and has become so successful. And I just smiled because I'm like, man, like look at all of these women who are doing so many different things, teaching all different kinds of things. I mean, I'm talking from yoga instructors to designers to parenting coaches to sleep consultants. Like there is no industry that I have found yet that online courses cannot work in. And what is so beautiful is that online education helps democratize information, meaning anyone can access it from anywhere. And it allows you to extract your knowledge once in a really meaningful, impactful way, and also in a scalable way. This is how you can build steady income and stop staying in the game of trading your time for money. So I just am obsessed with online courses. I have been for years. I have been teaching online courses for over a decade, and I have witnessed so many people break free from the trading time for money in the way of scaling their impact and their income and getting more reliable monthly income. Now, real quick, before I dive into the next one, I want to quick tell you about something that is going on. So when I first learned about online courses, I learned about them from a woman named Amy Porterfield. Yes, she is my best friend now. We literally send about 20 minutes of voice messages back and forth every single day. But she had no idea who I was at the time. And I learned about online courses from her. And she does this once a year boot camp. It is absolutely incredible. It's called Course Confident. And it is 4 days of her live teaching. She also has replays where she literally helps you figure out what is your course idea and is it a viable idea? What type of course are you going to create and how much should you charge for it? And how are you going to market it and get it in front of the people you're creating it for? And I have watched people make more progress in this boot camp in these 4 days than they would in an entire year trying to figure this out themselves. You're a part of a community. You are held accountable. There is deadlines so that you have to do the work. So if you are somebody who's like been putting this off, I really, really, really invite you to join this boot camp. It is so transformative. Amy is literally the best in the business when it comes to online courses. I've learned pretty much everything I know from her. And I just want to invite you to explore this idea. And if anything, just see how she does it. Like it's fascinating to just watch. So if you go to jennakutcher.com/bootcamp, you can join Amy's bootcamp. I will be inside. I also have a free bonus for you if you join. But online courses have changed my life, not only as an educator, but also as a student. And so if this is a world that you want to explore, jennakutcher.com/bootcamp, join us inside of this live bootcamp. She does it once a year. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I just think it would be a great next step for you if this is something that is calling to you. Okay. For number 3, so the number 3 way to bring in some more reliable monthly income is through monthly retainers or subscriptions. So I look at monthly retainers or a subscription-based business as kind of being like stability in a world of uncertainty. And so if you are someone who it's like every month is just a big question mark when it comes to your income or your bookkeeping, having a handful of monthly clients or subscribers can help you move forward with confidence and can also help you cover your baseline expenses before the month even starts, right? Like you never want to start your month in the red if you can avoid it. And I think the best way to avoid it is to have something that is ongoing. So whether it's content creation or coaching or done for you services, recurring revenue changes the way that you work and also the way that you plan. Now, I approach this through a few different ways in my business. So first off, we have different contractors on monthly retainers. So my team in totality is around 10 people, all women. And we have it's a 50-50 split between employees and contractors. Our contractors are on monthly retainers. They know how much we are paying them month to month. It stays consistent. They know that they have security in their job in terms of them working with us. And I love that. Like I love having them be a part of the team through that way. And it totally helps them to plan out their workload, their client load, etc. Now, I also love this subscription model. So one of the ways that we kind of do this in our business is for our online courses, oftentimes we'll have a full pay option and then a payment plan option. And so we have consistent monthly recurring revenue through our payment plan options. About 50% of our students choose the full pay and about 50% choose the recurring monthly payment plan to pay off their online courses. And so that's kind of how it works in our business. Now, I have had so many different experts on the podcast. One of them was Stu McLaren, and he talked about memberships. And that was a really interesting episode where he talked about how when you have a membership, you have a greater monthly recurring revenue, right? And you're just creating and delivering something often monthly in terms of a monthly membership. So I know a lot of different models like that, but that is also a really beautiful way to bring more reliability into your business and your income. And so if you are someone who is struggling and you're doing a lot of one-off work or you're only working with clients one and you're done, consider, is there a way to build out a business that has monthly retainers that gives you the ability to maybe sign on a client for 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, or to create some sort of subscription model where you know that you're going to have people that are going to be paying you monthly, which will allow you to plan better financially and also kind of allow you to pull different levers in your business to just understand where this reliability is coming from and how to keep people in that subscription or system. So definitely something to consider. For me, in terms of this one, it's mostly me paying people monthly retainers versus charging that. That's not something I currently offer in my business beyond our payment plans. Okay, before we continue, let's hit pause for a moment. If you knew that just 3 or 4 clients, subscriptions, or steady offers could cover your baseline expenses every single month, what would that change for you? Would you breathe a little easier? Would you plan differently? While you're picturing that kind of stability in your business, let's take a minute to thank the sponsors that make this show possible. Okay, now we are going into number 4. Okay, so number 4 is probably one of my favorite topics to jam on. There are so many past Goal Digger episodes about affiliate marketing, and that is number 4, which is affiliate marketing. And I want to say affiliate marketing done well, okay? Because affiliate marketing done well can absolutely bring in more consistent and reliable income into your business. Now, here's essentially what affiliate marketing is that you basically just promote products, services, subscriptions, software that you love and use and adore to your audience, and they handle the rest. Your only job is to market that product, service, or offer, and the other person or company does all the deliverables. I love this type of marketing because you get to focus on just sharing authentically what you love about something. And you don't have to go out and create your own skincare line and deal with manufacturing and bottling and FDA or all of that. Or you don't have to go out and build a software that already does the things that you love that it does. Inside of our company, affiliate marketing is a huge focus because there are so many things that I use and I'm obsessed with. And if you knew me in real life, I am the friend that if we go out to dinner, I will be sending you a follow-up text message linking 10 different things that we talked about in our discussion, whether it's books, podcast episodes, the jeans that I swear by, this new hair product that works really good for slick back buns, the new supplement that I'm taking that actually tastes good and gives me energy. Like, I love sharing the things that I am learning that are working for me, that I am obsessed with. It is just my natural tendency. I would suck as a gatekeeper. I just can't do it. Like, that's not how I rock. And so affiliate marketing comes so naturally to me because I naturally just love to share what works for me. And so think about what you could recommend in terms of something that you genuinely use, that you genuinely love. 16% of all online orders come through affiliate links. And the ones that work best come from trust and not someone being actively pushy, right? And so what if you were to sit down and say, okay, here are the 3 tools or products that I believe in, that I pay full price for, that I love, that I am an evangelist for, that I would talk about even if I wasn't getting paid, and that align with your audience and their needs and their desires. Write those 3 things down and maybe take just an hour to explore. Do they have a partner program? Do you have the ability to get a friends and family link or an affiliate link? Can you commit to sharing about this product more than once to see if it resonates with your audience and it's something that your audience wants? You know, it's really interesting. Recently, I have just naturally been sharing about random things that I am obsessed with. Like, for example, there is this NAD supplement that I started taking. It's in our fridge and you just take a teaspoon a day. And there's NAD pills, there's NAD IV bags. NAD is like basically like helping your cells rejuvenate because our cells are dying every day. And I'm probably saying this entirely wrong, but I have been on different types of NAD supplements from doing IVs of it and taking pills. But I found this liposomal NAD supplement. And I swear to you, since I started taking it, I literally wake up in the morning with energy. For example, this morning, I woke up without an alarm clock at 5:30 this morning. I took our puppy Hank out and I got in a full workout before my family even woke up. Like, Drew woke up and he's like, "When did you get out of bed? I didn't even hear you get out of bed." Like, I am energized and I've never had this level of energy. And I really had to like troubleshoot, like, what changed in my life recently, because I didn't have this energy. I used to be the person that would like sleep until the very last minute until I had to get up. And I swear it's a supplement. And I just started talking about it. I will link this supplement in the description for you because I know you're going to ask about it, but I'm just giving you an example of how I love to talk about the products and things in my life that are changing my life. And I would do it even if I wasn't getting paid, but heck, they have an affiliate program. That's so cool. I bought 5 bottles of this thing before I ever once talked about it and used it for a month without ever telling anybody. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, this is like absolutely amazing. I want to shout it from the rooftop. So this is just an example of that. So what would it look like if you came up with 3 products, services, anything that you use and love that you could share consistently with your audience? And again, I'm not saying a one and done. Don't just put it out there once and be like, oh, nobody clicked the link. Okay, this must not work. I have shared this story before, but when I first started my podcast, it was right around the era of Drew and I were trying to figure out home life balance, entrepreneurial life. We were newlyweds, and the argument of like, what are we going to cook for dinner would come up every single night. I mean, it's still an argument in our life. Thank God tonight we're having this quinoa Mexican bake. Can't wait. But that question used to spark a lot of arguments in our household. And I started buying HelloFresh. And at the time, it was a huge investment for us. Like, it was not something that was super accessible. And I started talking about it on my podcast. And so many of my listeners ended up getting HelloFresh just off of my refer a friends and family link that we got free groceries for a year. That was life-changing for us, right? Free groceries for a year. The boxes kept coming. We didn't have to pay because I was just naturally sharing about something that was working in our lives. So affiliate marketing, when it comes from your heart, when it is something that you genuinely use and love, is an incredible way. Now, here's another thing to note. Based on what type of program or product you are affiliating for, some of them have recurring revenue models. So a lot of times, different softwares that you recommend will continue to pay you as long as somebody stays a member of that. And so if there are different softwares that you are using in your company that you want to tell other people to use, they might have a recurring model, which actually does unlock more reliable monthly income. It's absolutely amazing when it happens. And so look into programs. I have found that going deeper on an affiliate versus having 20 different affiliates that you're talking about all the time works so much better. In our company, we have 4 to 5 affiliates that we really prioritize the most. And then we have a bunch of other ones that are kind of on the fringe that we'll mention here and there. But really look into the different models. And if you're really dead set on more reliable income, look for affiliate programs that have that recurring revenue as long as somebody stays on the platform that you keep getting paid. That's an incredible way to bring in more certainty into your business. Okay, number 5 is VIP days or one-day offers. So this is something that isn't necessarily scalable in the sense of, you know, you get to create something once and sell it a million times like an online course. But if you do a condensed high value service that can let you charge more for less time and deliver massive results quickly, this could be a huge game changer for you. So there are so many different ways you could structure this, but let's say you created one high ticket offer that you knew could cover all of your expenses for the month, right? Or let's say you don't even have high overhead because it's just you doing all the things in your business. Let's say you created a high ticket offer that could cover your mortgage or your grocery bill or your daycare bill or whatever is important to you. And if you could just get one of those a month, VIP days can be really efficient for you, and it can be super transformational for the people you work with. And sometimes when you get in the weeds with somebody else and help them experience a true transformation, it can unlock different ideas of other things that you could create for more people, right? Like if you can help one person, you can probably help many. And so I've often found that when I've done coaching and consulting in the past, which is something I haven't done basically since I became a mom, but when I've done coaching and consulting in the past, it has unlocked different ideas for me for online courses, for free resources, for blog posts, for podcast episodes. It really puts me in a really creative position. Over the last year, I've started doing a little bit more one-on-one coaching, and it's actually something I'm exploring more thoughtfully as the kids start school in the fall. And for the first time in 7 years, I'm going to have uninterrupted days to work, which is wild to think about. And so I'm considering this again is doing more condensed coaching or VIP days or things like that. But it can be an incredible cash injection. And it can also be a way where you don't feel like you have to constantly be marketing or playing the volume game. And so it's something to consider. And I also just think too, it connects you with your mission. It connects you with your brilliance. It connects you with the people that you want to serve and the people you can impact. And it helps unlock different ideas and ways that you could really scale that impact through different offers. Okay, number 6 is kind of this like hybrid model. And here's what I mean by hybrid. So what would it look like for you in your business if you could almost mix a live and an evergreen model of business? And here's what I mean by this. What if you could blend the connection of having some sort of live experience and then blend it with the scalability of a digital offer? So whether that's like having a short live coaching series or some sort of group program or a live training or masterclass or something like that, what would it look like if you presented it, launched it live, and then you packaged up the recordings or the materials into an evergreen offer? So we recently just did this for kind of the first time in a way, where I did this 5-day live Pinterest bootcamp. It was our first ever bootcamp. It was amazing. It was so much fun. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was this 5-day live experience. We had thousands of people join. I was in the Facebook group every single day, serving people live. It was just phenomenal. And when it ended, I was like, I don't want for this to end, but also we just did a lot of work to pull this thing off. Is there a way to take all of the work, all of the content, all of the slideshows, all of the videos, and repurpose it into something that maybe doesn't have the live component, but that gets that information out there in a different way? And so this hybrid idea, I think, is super smart for a bunch of different reasons. One, you get to test everything live. You get to work out the kinks. You get to see what worked and what didn't work. And then you can take all of those takeaways and package it up for a more evergreen offer. You get the energy of the live interaction, but then you can also encompass the long tail sales of a digital offer. So again, this is kind of marrying some of the earlier ideas that I had in terms of evergreen digital products or online courses, but it allows you to have that live energy and put in that live experience, but then repackage it up in a way where it's not just a one and done, it can live on. Okay. Before we wrap up with my final suggestion, I just want to take a minute to thank the brands helping bring this conversation to your ears. And when we come back, I'm going to share my last idea and the truth about passive income, the part that most people skip over, and what I think really makes these strategies work for the long haul. All right, we'll be back in just a second. Okay, my final idea is one that I tossed in a little bit last minute, and it's this idea of rental income. Okay, now, we have been in the rental game for, I believe, 9 years, might be almost a decade. And I first just want to preface this and say, wow, what a privilege, right? What a privilege to be able to have a space that you could rent out. And I want to say you don't have to own a huge real estate portfolio to benefit from rentals. Like maybe it's a basement apartment. Maybe it's a small investment property. Maybe it's even renting out your gear or tools or studio space. But one thing that's been really unique for us is I feel like real estate has been a really meaningful piece of our personal income puzzle, not because we started with massive resources, but because we looked for strategic, manageable opportunities that helped kind of align with our lifestyle, but also kind of worked with our long-term goals. And so are there any aspects of your life, of your property, or of your business that could be rented out, right? What could that look like for you? Could you explore that? I know there's an amazing photographer in Duluth here who has this beautiful studio space and she rents it out for events for other photographers to use. And so she helps cover her overhead by renting out her space, right? It's just brilliant. I also have a friend that's local who they just built out these little artist studios in this building that they bought, where they basically converted the entire basement into little studio suites so that more artists could have spaces to create. And I am guessing, and I don't know, but I am guessing that that monthly income that they can draw from different artists renting out spaces could help cover a lot of the overhead of their building in totality. And so it's just something to consider. It might be a long-term goal, but it's something where it can bring more reliable income into your business, and it can help cover some of your overhead expenses. So before I wrap this episode up, I want to cover a few common misconceptions, because here's the thing. Reliable income, in my opinion, is not about luck, or it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It is about being so intentional. It is about creating and marketing and refining an offer until it consistently delivers. It is iterating. It is figuring out, how do I get this in front of the right people? I have such a problem with this idea of passive income, because I have so many different, quote, passive income streams that are not truly passive, right? They require iterating. They require data mining. They require testing and experimenting and trying. And while passive income can be mainly passive, I don't think you can ever be hands-off. And in fact, I think that most passive income opportunities require a build out that has a ton of intentional effort and thought, so that as you are getting it built, it can run with less of you later. So here's what I'm saying. I do not subscribe to hustle culture, right? But I do believe that hustle is required oftentimes to get a dream off the ground. And if your dream is passive and reliable income, hustle is likely going to be required for a short period of time. Now, here's my argument. If hustle is the only way that the dream can be maintained, I would argue that that might not be the dream. But I have to say that passive income is not usually passive, and that these different types of revenue streams are not built with luck. They're built with a lot of thought and intention. Okay. For me, reliable monthly income means that I have a life that allows me to run a business where I just launch 4 times a year. And basically 4 weeks out of the year, I am in launch mode. But in between those launches, I am so fortunate to earn a steady income that pays my team, that pays our bills, and it has unlocked a level of freedom that I didn't even know was possible. When I became a photographer, my dream was just getting out of a windowless office, right? There was no dream of this life that I currently have, but it means freedom, that I can be present with my kids. It means that I can work in focused seasons. It means that I feel safe enough to experiment and be creative and take risks. And I'm afforded all of that because I have built in the structure to bring in reliable monthly income that unlocks that creativity and freedom required to continue to evolve and iterate in my business. If I had stayed in a model where I only got paid when I showed up, for me, my life would look entirely different. And beyond my life, motherhood for me personally would look so different. When I think about if I were still shooting weddings, and I were still booked out a year or 2 years in advance, and I were still traveling every single weekend and editing all week long, my life would feel incredibly different. My experience of motherhood would be so insanely different, and my business would be totally different. And so when I look back at my younger self, I just want to hug her, because building these systems before I needed them gave me the freedom and the things that I desired without even knowing I desired them when my life changed. And I often look back and attribute our season of loss when I went through 2 miscarriages back to back, when I was planning pregnancies around wedding seasons and showing up to shoot when I wanted to be in the fetal position, when I was grieving the hardest thing that I had ever walked through. I attribute the life that I have now and the type of mom that I'm able to be a lot to the dedication to work in our season of waiting, and to cling to the hope that that season of waiting was just as important as what it was that we were waiting for. And I look back at that time when I was willing to take the risk and I was willing to make less money in order to unlock time for life, but also time for learning, to learn a different way of moving through the entrepreneurial space, to learn a different way of doing business, to think of a different way that I could scale both my impact and my income beyond just my geographic area through these methods that I've talked to you about today. And so I know that what you are craving is more reliability. It is more safety and more security. And I hope that in this episode today, I gave you some things to chew on, some things to think about, some things to consider in your own life and business. Now, if you are stuck in the loop of always needing to do more to earn more, I just want to say I see you. Like I've been you. And I'm here to tell you there's a different way. And the strategies I share today are all paths to consistent and sustainable income. But the one for me, if I could only choose one, the one for me that changed everything for me, that continues to be the most scalable and sustainable path forward for me personally, was creating an online course. First, I was a student, then I was a teacher. And if you are someone who is listening to this and you're ready to explore that path, I want to invite you into something that is phenomenal. That's all I can say. Brought to you by my best friend who was first my mentor and I was a stranger to her, a student of hers. And again, it's called the Course Confident Bootcamp. It's a live experience. It is designed to help you test out an idea for your course, to make sure it's viable, to get people excited to pay for it, to figure out what you would charge for it and how to get it in front of the people, to take real steps forward and make real progress in just a few days' time. And so whether you're brand new to online courses or figuring out what to teach next, this bootcamp will help you get clarity fast and be in community with other people who are also striving for that. So if you are ready to join, go to jennakutcher.com/bootcamp. You can learn more. You can grab your spot. If you are listening to this after the bootcamp has taken place, we will hopefully link up a few resources that can really help you or get you on a wait list. When you join, you'll also get a special bonus from me valued at $27, something that I mentioned inside of today's episode that you can get access to. If you go to jennakutcher.com/bootcamp, you can check out all of the information and join me and Amy live in her bootcamp. Let me just remind you real quick, you didn't start your business to burn out. I believe that you started it to build freedom, and I want to be there to help you take that next step. I want to do it together. So whatever your next step is, I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this. If there is somebody that popped into your brain as you were listening to this, if there is somebody that you want to go through the bootcamp with, or that is turning their wheels and on the hamster wheel and always stressed or on the verge of burnout, send this episode to them. Let this be a gift from you to them. And just thank you so much for listening. Until next time, Goal Digger, all I want for you to do is keep on digging your biggest goals. Thanks for listening to the Goal Digger podcast. I hope today left you inspired and equipped with something you can put into action as you build a business that truly supports your life. If this episode resonated with you, here's how you can help the show reach even more entrepreneurs. Hit follow, share it with a friend who's building something meaningful, and if you're feeling generous, leave us a review. Those reviews help other listeners discover these conversations when they need them the most. This show has become so much more than I ever imagined, and it's because of listeners like you who show up and share. You are helping build something that will inspire entrepreneurs for years to come. For show notes, links, and resources, head to goaldiggerpodcast.com. Keep digging your biggest goals. The world needs what you're building.
Please note, this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements, and individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in the episode. Your support through affiliate links or sponsored content helps us continue to bring you valuable content. Thank you for being a part of the Goal Digger community.